What's happening? A happy Friday to all of you. Thanks for joining me as always. It is very much appreciated. 1 down, 3 to go. Couple of notes before we get into the breakdown of last night's victory by the Celtics. I'm back on 98.5 The Sports Hub Sunday night. Mark your calendars. Sunday night, immediately following Game 2, I'll be on 98.5 The Sports Hub with Sean Silver reacting to the game. I cannot wait to get back on 98.5 and talk to Celtics fans again Sunday night, immediately following Game 2. Second note, I'm going to attempt to do this quickly today. I've got a personal obligation at about around 11:30, so I'm going to give you as much as I can, get as deep as I can about last night's win, and then we'll move on and look forward to Game 2 on Sunday. So, Celtics, they blow out the Mavericks, 107-89 last night. And what I loved about this game, I tweeted at Nick C Radio last night. I would have felt different about this game if the Celtics just beat the brakes off the Mavericks from minute 1 to minute 48. If the Celtics just got up by 29 and cruised the rest of the way because the Mavericks laid down and said, one game, not a big deal, back on Sunday, I would have felt differently about last night's win. I feel about last night's win right now. The fact that the Celtics threw a haymaker, got up by 29. The Mavericks threw a haymaker back, got within 8. For the Celtics to only respond with another haymaker, that game felt different to me. It was the counter punches that the Celtics threw that made me feel even better about last night's win. The fact that they took Dallas's best punch in the third quarter and came back with that 14-2 closeout was huge. To respond like that, a championship-like response with that 14-2 run at the end of the third said everything you need to know about this team and how they are mentally right now. Things could change, series could change, but up to this point, what we've seen is a team that responds. I'm not sold that the team even a year ago would have responded the way they responded last night to that big-time punch from Dallas in the third quarter. Celtics were great against Kyrie and Luka. We talked about this leading up to the series. You have to make it tough on both of those guys. Make Kyrie, make Luka inefficient. If they score points, tip of the cap. They're great offensive players. Luka is a special offensive player. He's going to get his. But make it tough. And if you can, make them both inefficient. Kyrie and Luka shot a combined 18 for 45 last night. That's 40% from the field. They were 4 of 17 from 3. That's 23.5% from the three-point line. That, my friends, is the definition of inefficiency. 40% combined shooting from Kyrie and Luka. Dallas is not winning this series. And they're going to get smoked in this series if that continues. I said before, I'll say it now, and I'm sure I'll say it again. Luka is going to Luka. We all have to understand that. We all have to embrace it, appreciate it, that Luka is going to get 30 points. That's how good he is. He's just going to get 30. If you keep him under 30, that's fantastic. But he's going to get his 30 points. And last night, Luka. He had 30 points, but he only had 1 assist. And that's a big-time difference, right? If you give up 30 points to Luka while he's being inefficient and he's not creating, you know what I'm going to say, those corner threes. If he's not creating those open corner threes, those open shots for his teammates, if he's not creating those easy dimes, the Mavericks offense is going to struggle to hit 100 points. And Luka had 1 assist last night to go with 4 turnovers. Limiting Luka Doncic to 5 assists or less makes it much more likely you win that basketball game than lose it. And how about Jaylen Brown? Jaylen Brown took the challenge. This is what Brown has done all year, which is why I was frustrated that he wasn't named to the All-NBA team, one of the 3. That's why I was somewhat frustrated he wasn't named to an All-NBA defensive team. Brown has taken the challenge every single time. When he has the opportunity to take the best player on the opposing team, he will do just that. And last night, from the jump, Jaylen Brown wanted to try to make a statement against Luka. Luka, you can try to beat me. You can try to attack us. You can try to do what you're going to do, but I'm going to make it hard on you. I'm not backing down. I'm picking you up right on the inbound pass, and I'm going to do as much as I can to make your life miserable. Brown took the challenge, the high pickup points. Jaylen was tremendous last night defensively. And it really wasn't just Brown. I mean, we look at Jaylen Brown, but it was an overall team effort to bother Doncic, as I said it was going to be. The Celtics have more guys to throw at Luka than any other team does in the NBA. They can throw Brown at him. They can throw Holiday at him. They can throw Tatum at him. And they can throw Horford at him, which was, I wouldn't say a surprise, because Dallas is going to try to hunt that Luka versus Horford matchup. But you don't feel like you're in imminent danger with Horford defending Luka. Last night, when Doncic was defended by Horford, and this is from Chris Forsberg, Doncic shot 1 of 8 from the floor. He was 0 for 4 from 3. He had one of his shots blocked. He scored 2 points. Luka, Horford, with Horford the primary defender. Luka went 1 for 8 from the floor with 2 points. The Mavs were 5 of 19 against Horford last night. He contested a team-high 13 shots. He also had 3 deflections. Big Al was big time defensively. What did we talk about as the series got closer? We also talked about the Celtics attacking Doncic defensively, attacking Kyrie Irving defensively. And that's precisely what the Celtics did. They worked the switch. They forced Luka to defend Jaylen or to defend Jason Tatum. And Tatum and Brown and others took advantage of that Luka matchup. They knew they could beat Luka off the dribble. They knew if Dallas was going to be stuck going one-on-one defensively against their wings and guards, that they, the Celtics, had the upper hand. Because as I mentioned before this series started, Dallas does not have enough perimeter defense to deal with the Celtics going 5 out. And we saw that last night. They just don't have enough. Doesn't mean they're going to lose the series. Doesn't mean every game's going to look like last night. But Dallas does not have the defenders to deal with the guards and wings of the Celtics. They don't have enough of them. Inevitably, Kyrie is going to get stuck on one of them. Inevitably, Doncic is going to get stuck on a Celtic that is going to be able to take him to the basket. Dallas can't run away from that. Jason Kidd can't change that. Luka versus Brown or Tatum is a nightmare for Dallas. Andrew Callahan posted this. The Celtics scored 23 points and shot 9 of 17. The Celtics shot 9 of 17 when Luka was the closest defender. They had him chasing shooters all night on other possessions. 9 of 17 against Doncic. If Doncic can't defend at a higher level, the Celtics are going to continue to attack him over and over and over again. And here's the thing. Even if Luka can, even if he can defend better than he did last night, guess what? That's going to take more from him. He's going to sap more energy because now he has to give more effort defensively. So you're not going to get the same kind of Luka offensively. It's a lose-lose. My guy Ram jumps in with a $20 super chat. Ipso facto, a little bit of an inside joke there. Ipso facto, KP makes a big difference. Have a great weekend, Nick. Thank you, Ram. I appreciate you. Ram has been with us, I think, from almost day one. He is a Patreon member as well, $5 a month for exclusive content. I'm going to be dropping the Off the Cuff podcast later on today. People seem to really like that idea, the Off the Cuff podcast, national stories with some random stuff thrown in as well. Again, thanks for being a Patreon member, Ram. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Means the world to me. It will buy me a couple of beers this weekend. Can't wait to get outside today. It's nice. It's Friday. We've got 2 days off now until game 2, which means we can truly appreciate and enjoy the next couple of days without worrying about a loss from last night, which is great. But thank you, Ram. And I can't say enough about your support, my man. Thank you so much. So, Kyrie. Oh, Kyrie. Kyrie was talking about, I'm not going to be impacted by the crowd. I'm not going to be affected by the Boston crowd and the TD Garden in this matchup. Like, it's one game. I'll keep saying that. It's one game. And Kyrie is good enough. He's a special enough offensive player to turn this thing around. He might drop 35 on Sunday night. All I can tell you is what happened last night. And last night, Kyrie was shook. I don't care what he said in the postgame. I don't care how he's trying to sell that the Boston crowd wasn't as loud as he thought it was going to be in there. Couldn't care less what he says. I'm watching what he does. And last night, my guy was shook. He was shook. He was dribbling the basketball off of his foot. He had no idea what to do or when to do it. Kyrie shot 6 of 19 from the floor last night, 0 of 5 from 3. He only had 2 assists, 3 turnovers. So between Kyrie and Luka, the Mavericks got a total of 3 assists and 7 turnovers. That's putrid. And here's something else. Yes, it was last night's game, but we went over the numbers before this series. Kyrie had lost 10 straight games against the Celtics, but it's not only that, because people will throw that number out there, and you've heard that number an awful lot. Kyrie has now lost 11 straight against the Celtics. It's not only that he's losing these games, he's been awful in most of them. His shooting has plummeted. He's been highly inefficient. He's been, frankly, a disaster against the Celtics in the last 11 games that he's played against them. Of course, again, it can change. Adjustments could be made. I'm just telling you, it's now 11 straight games when Kyrie plays against this team. They seemingly know how to defend him or at least make it tough on him. And he's been incredibly inefficient, and he hasn't won a single one of those 11 games. So he can sit there and he can squawk all he wants about the crowd not being loud. He was bad, and he looked uncomfortable all night. And Mike Gorman on Toucher and Hardy this morning on 98.5, Mike Gorman said that for about a 3 or 4 minute chunk in that game, Kyrie was going back and forth with somebody in the crowd. So all the stuff that he tried to sell us on before this series began, game 1, he's already going back and forth with somebody in the crowd. He's already distracted by a Celtics fan. He was a mess last night. And if Dallas gets that kind of Kyrie in this series, good luck to them, because he was brutal. Don't forget, take a second of your time. Doesn't cost you a penny. Like this podcast. Give us that thumbs up. Like, comment, and subscribe. Trying to get to 3,500 subscriptions. We're slowly getting there as we creep towards mandatory minicamp next week. Again, give us that like. Give us the comment. Give us that subscription. It doesn't mean as much to you as it means to me. I can guarantee you that. Although hopefully it means a good amount to you. The likes, comments, and subscriptions mean the world when we talk about this algorithm. Spotify, Apple Pods, rate, and review. Dallas had 9 assists last night. 9. Sean Grandy posted this. No opponent. That's 0. No opponent in 96 games this year had fewer than 15 assists against the Celtics. Dallas again had 9. The last time a Celtics opponent failed to get double-digit assists was in 2010. 14 years ago. It was Portland on February 19th. By the way, the Celtics, if you're wondering, had 23 assists. We also talked about, before this series began, 2 points of emphasis defensively for the Celtics, right? 2 points of emphasis. Limit the corner threes, limit the lob plays at the rim for the bigs. Dallas got nothing last night. The Celtics completely took away the three-point corner shot. They completely took away the lobs to the big men. You saw none of that last night. Shout out to Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla had a fantastic game plan last night. Hopefully this continues throughout the series. But last night, that game plan was as perfect as you could possibly draw up. You're not getting corner threes, let alone wide open corner threes. We're not allowing Luka to eat because he's going to suck in the defense and kick it out. It's not happening. We're going one-on-one. Luka, if you want to make your mid-range shots, if you want to make your step-back threes, if you want to be spectacular in isolation, have at it, my friend. We're not allowing P.J. Washington or Derrick Jones Jr. to get off from 3. It's not happening on our watch, and we're not allowing you those easy lob plays to the rim runs to Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. It's not happening on our time. It was a perfect game plan defensively. And shout out to the players who executed it just as perfectly. And speaking of Mazzulla, he has now beat Dallas all 5 games he's coached against them. He's 5-0 against the Mavericks. And the Celtics have won every single one of those 5 games by at least 9 points. I'm not telling you that Mazzulla has some kind of, magical potion to take out the Mavericks. I'm just telling you, so far, he's dominated the Jason Kidd matchup. And last night, he did it again because Mazzulla was terrific. The game plan was terrific. The timeout usage was terrific. Mazzulla took a timeout at 7:43 in the third quarter. Celtics were up 68-52. That timeout at 7:43 didn't quite work out. Dallas went on a 12-4 run after that timeout, but Mazzulla did not stop there. Mazzulla called another timeout in the third quarter. This time he called the timeout at 4:27. The Celtics at that point were up by 8. So Dallas had come from 29 down to 8 down. Mazzulla calls a timeout, 4:27 left in the third. The 4:27 left in that quarter, the remainder of that quarter, the Celtics went on a 14-2 run. Game was over. The Mavericks had that third quarter in hand. The C's go on that dominant run over the final 4:27 after the timeout by Joe. And all of a sudden, the Mavericks only won the third quarter by 1 point. Great job by Joe Mazzulla. Before we move on, I want to remind you, this podcast is brought to you by Warzone Paintball and Airsoft. 9 maps, 30-plus acres of land. Was out there last weekend to check the spot. It's beautiful, fantastic. All sorts of people having a great time. My guy Jeff, who runs Warzone, he throws these parties. They just do a tremendous job. 4.9 star rating online. Casual, low-key. If you've never done it before, they'll take care of you. The age groups, 6 and up. So if you want to throw a birthday party, you can swing by there. If you just want to hang out and do some fun activity for a couple of hours, you can go by there as well. Give them a call at 401-228-6366. They're in North Kingston, Rhode Island. They're tucked away, private area, tons of land to run around and play both paintball and airsoft. Again, it's 401-228-6366. Tell them the Nick Cattle Show sent you. And by the way, Jeff's a huge Patriots fan. So when you swing by there, talk Pats with him, he'd love it. All right, before I get back to the Celtics last night being victorious, $10 super chat from my friend Thunder Francis. Thank you, Thunder Francis. So many positives all around last night. But how about Tatum adjusting to his role for the game? Makes the team so much better than C's teams of past. We'll get into Tatum a little bit later on in a few minutes. But there were so many positives. Defensively, offensively, a lot of the stuff that we talked about heading into this series. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to be about it. And the Celtics last night, they were about it. Defending Luka, attacking Luka, defending Kyrie, attacking Kyrie, getting out in transition, knowing that Dallas is not good with transition defense, especially Luka, who tends to lose shooters in transition D. He did it again last night. It was a team that looked completely ready for the challenge. And the Celtics, remember, they had that long layoff. They've watched so much film on Dallas, and they looked like they knew exactly what Dallas was going to try to do. I think Dallas knows, and thanks for the super chat, Thunder Francis. I think the Mavericks know what the Celtics want to try to do. The issue is the Celtics just have more talent. And if they play the right way, it's difficult for the Mavericks to match up with their top 6. It's just as simple as that. Yes, you've got Luka and Kyrie who are special offensive players. But the Celtics, their top 6, those guys can't only hurt you offensively, they're also good to very good defenders. Some of them great defenders. And so when you look at the top 6, once you get past Kyrie and Luka, PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr., even Derek Lively, these are good role players, but the Celtics have guys who are literally all-star caliber in the top 6. So it's difficult to stop that, even if you know what's coming. Last night, the Mavericks, nobody scored more than 14 points other than Luka. One of the themes that I kept to before this series began, and those who have watched me throughout know this, for those who are joining me for the first time, welcome. Hopefully you're enjoying this Friday. But I've said this before. If you allow Luka to do Luka, if he's going to score 30 to 35, cool. You've got to limit the other guys. Luka is not going to beat you single-handedly. Luka can beat you when he's dropping 35 points, but also getting 10 to 12 assists and 10, 11 rebounds. If he's giving you a triple dub, yes, they have a chance to beat you, right? But if you can limit the other guys, if you can limit the Washingtons, the Joneses, especially the Kyries, if you can limit the others, Dallas does not have enough depth to hurt you offensively. If you are paying attention to detail on the defensive end, if you're being disciplined, they just don't have enough. So that's what we saw last night. Luka got his 30, but he was limited to 1 assist, and nobody else scored more than 14 points. If you're going to have Luka scoring 30 and the other guy scoring, 13 points, 12 points, Dallas is going to get blown out. Again, there's going to be adjustments. It's only one game. I'm going off of what happened last night. I'm breaking it down. And last night, it was Luka with 30 and nobody else making much noise. That's the scenario you want if you're the Celtics. Luka's going to Luka, limit the other guys. How about Kristaps Porzingis? 21 minutes in. This is an injustice by me. It took me 21 minutes to bring up Kristaps Porzingis. My freaking goodness. I said that Kristaps has such a gigantic impact in this series if he is healthy because of the things he can do on both ends of the floor. I talked about the shooting depth, right? It's not just that he can shoot from 3. It's the depth of those shots. He's taking 26, 27, 30-footers. It's very difficult to contest those shots off the pick and pop. Very difficult. He also has a lot of gravity to him offensively because he's a very good shooter. So if he's playing away from the pick and pop, defenders have to stick with him. They're not going to leave. And we saw this. It's not just with Porzingis, it's the rest of the team as well. But the Celtics, when they play 5 out, Dallas can't leave shooters. So they can't help. They can't help clog the paint on drives. They can't double Tatum because as soon as they double Tatum or double Brown, they're going to find somebody because it becomes a 4-on-3. And it's death. It's a wide open 3 somewhere. And Kristaps is the perfect example of this. He has so much gravity to him offensively. Defenders have to hang by him. They can't leave him open. And when they play the pick and pop, even if you're switching, whatever you're doing, it's tough to get out at 28 feet from the basket and contest a shot from a dude who's 7'3". Last night, pick and pop. Luka tries to go out there. Luka has no chance against Kristaps. Porzingis is 7'3". Doncic is not blocking that shot. And it's tough for him to even get out to 28, 29 feet. His rim protection, my goodness, he changes so many shots, not just the shots that he blocks. He changes so many shots. 20 points in 20 minutes. Andrew Callahan posted, Porzingis in the last 2:52 of the first quarter. Dunk, block, jumper, 3, block, defensive rebound, hockey assist, and another block. That spurt from Porzingis was special. Don't forget, give us that like. Every thumb means an awful lot. Thumbs up on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, rate and review, Spotify, Apple Pods. Jaylen Brown was great. Again, we talked about his defense. He had several big-time blocks. He had that block at Derrick Jones, which was awesome. Right at the rim, met him, turned him away. Brown was great. He was efficient. 7 of 12 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. He scored 22 points. When you think about it, Tatum and Brown scored 38 points last night, and the Celtics still won by 18. That's not great news for Dallas. Jaylen had 22 points, 6 rebounds, turned the ball over only twice, which is big. He was a plus 12 on the floor. The one thing about Jaylen, he's going to knock down those free throws. He's freaking me out a little bit. These games get close. 6 of 11 from the free throw line. He's got to be better. He hasn't been good there since the All-Star break. We talked about the Celtics math. Math, right? It's all about the 3. And the Celtics, they shot 15 more threes than the Mavs last night. They made 9 more threes than Dallas. I'm not a math major, but that means the Celtics were plus 27 from the three-point line. If you're plus 27 on the three-point line and you can defend the way the Celtics defend, it's incredibly difficult to win a basketball game against this team. The Mavs were minus 27. One of the adjustments, I can guarantee you, they're going to try to find more threes within their offense. And they're going to try to do a better job of slowing down the C's from three. But if we have a discrepancy at three-point land like we had last night, this is going to be a 4 or 5 game series. Dallas cannot afford to lose a three-point battle by 27, 30 points. I mean, they just can't. Celtics took more threes, made more threes. They stomped Dallas from the three-point line. Luka was 4 of 12, 33% from three. Every other Maverick, Luka made 4 threes. The rest of the Mavericks team made 3 of them. They were 3 for 15 from three-point land. Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer posted this, 35-4. When the Celtics take at least 50% of their shots from three, they are now 35-4 on the season, including 6-0 in the playoffs. That's a 74 win pace. That's why all the people that were freaking out, oh, they relied too much on the three. Those people, with all due respect, they have not been paying close enough attention. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality and the fact that you have 6, 7, 8 guys that can shoot from three. And so when the Celtics, again, when they've taken at least 50% of their shots from three this year, they're 35-4. It's not an anomaly. Jason Tatum, he needs to be better. And I understand all the other things about his game, and I appreciate them, right? I've talked about them more than anybody. I've written about them at Boston Sports Journal. I have another piece on Jason Tatum coming out at BSJ today. I appreciate his defense. I appreciate how much he screens as a star player. I appreciate how he has to initiate the offense, and they run a ton of offense through him. I get that all, but he's got to shoot better. He's got to be more efficient. 6 of 16. He doesn't have to shoot lights out, but he's got to shoot better. You can't always expect Kristaps to be as efficient as he was last night and give you that flurry. 6 of 16 from the floor, 3 of 7 from three. Tatum's got to be more efficient. He only had 2 free throws. And I thought it was a little bit of a wonky whistle last night. Only 2 free throws. I'd like to see Tatum up his aggression a little bit. I didn't think he took a ton of terrible shots, by the way. I thought he took like 3 or 4 bad shots. But the good to his game, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. He could have had a lot more assists as well if some guys made some more shots there. But the biggest issue to me, because he's gone through the shooting, is the turnovers. He has to take care of the basketball. He said it last night in the postgame. 6 turnovers, way too many. He has to take care of the ball. I think he will. Again, it's a one-game snapshot, but he's got to shoot better, and he can't have 6 turnovers. All of that said, he was still a plus 19 last night. Drew Holiday, 12, 8, and 5, 0 turnovers. He made a couple of big plays again last night. We talked about the rebounding. The Celtics were plus four on the glass, which is just a huge stat against this Dallas team. Derek Lively rendered useless. 2 points, 5 rebounds, 5 fouls. He was a minus 15. Porzingis coming off the bench. That was intentional. They want Porzingis versus Lively. And last night, Porzingis roasted him. That would be terrible for Dallas if that continues. It's not over. It's not over. Celtics were up 2-1 in 2022. It's one game. They need 3 more. They need urgency in game 2. We know that the Mavericks will want to punch back. We'll see how the Celtics deal with that on Sunday night. Again, I'm back on 98.5 The Sports Hub Sunday night following game 2 with Sean Silver. Can't wait for that. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, and review. We'll talk to y'all on Monday at 11 a.m. Until then, it's the Nick Cattle Show.